All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hoping everybody's having a great and blessed day so far. And yeah, hey, here we are again with our team training. And, first things first, I just wanted to come on here and just, hey, I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. One, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever the time it is, you actually taking the time out to get some tips from pretty much one of the best in the whole industry tonight with Brent Palmer tonight. Uh, but also, I want to kind of drop off some things that are going on that I believe can help you build your business. One being the corporate event coming up next month, September 18th and 19th. I've been in this industry 9 years almost now. In October, it'll be 9 years, and I've never missed an event. People ask me one of the things, hey, how have you had success, or how have you stayed positive through everything? And because I had a lot going on, it's just like any other business, you'll have things happen in business. But plugging in was one of my big things, and big events was something ever since when I was 21 years old, and I sat there and I made it to that first event. I told myself I'd never miss one of these, and so in almost 9 years, I never missed one. And then also something else that's big, that I believe can be big in everybody's business right now, which Michelle mentioned it. I heard Dominic talking about it as well. But kids are going back to school. Teachers, you got friends that are teachers that are going back to school. Coaches, you also got your nieces, nephews, your kids going back to school. So maybe you might have a little nervousness there, or they may have nervous. You may not have no nervousness, but they may. But guess what's on sale right now? The home detox. So why not make a list of friends that you know that have kids that got to go back to school, or make a list of people that you know that are school teachers and coaches, and why not reach out to them and say, hey, you may or may not have something for them, and they can grab a sale on the home detox right now and keep their kids and their family and all their friends and the teachers safe and the whole school safe. And that's just something I wanted y'all to kind of think about, those two big old things there. Now I'm gonna pass it on over to Michelle, because I always let the ladies go first, and so she's gonna actually start the Q&A tonight with a good friend of mine, Brent Palmer, and I want to say a good friend. He's like a brother to me, you guys. He's also one of my mentors, somebody who we got started in this when Limu around the same time, and I've always loved his tenacity, his enthusiasm, and his hard work. At the end of the day, it's work. This is somebody who was, ever since I known Brent Palmer, and ever since I even heard like Gary Racer talk about him, he was always at the top of enrolling people. So if you want to learn how to enroll people, whether it be customers or promoters into your business, reps in your business, why not learn from the best? This was the #1 person for 9 years straight. Get the #1 person in all of Limu for 9 years straight, when he took almost 9 years. And so why not learn from the best? And I'm a prime example. Hey, all I do is play follow the leader. Your kids play follow the leader. Why not you? Why not follow somebody who's doing something? And this is the best of the best. In my eyes, he is the best of the best. But in everybody else, he may be second or third. But in mine, he's the best of the best. And so we have the honor of having him tonight. And so Michelle is actually going to start it off, you guys. And everybody knows Michelle. She's wonderful. She's amazing. And she's going to start the questions off tonight for Brent.
All right. Thank you, Ant. And thank you, Coach, for joining us tonight. We always appreciate your time. So what I would like to ask you about tonight is regarding the value of being connected with the organization and plugging in. And we know that there's events. So that's one aspect of plugging in. But would you talk a little bit about what your experience has been and what you've seen regarding success for people when they have taken the time to plug into the different things that are available? Because sometimes new people come in and they, get plugged into our Facebook groups. They get plugged into, like, we use WhatsApp, and we have a team thread there on our WhatsApp to share information so that people know what Zooms are available, what trainings, coachings, etc. And sometimes what can happen is people come in and they get all this information coming in and they go, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Like there's all these things going on. So what I tell my team is, this is your opportunity. So you plug in to the extent that you are able to. This is all available to you, but it's your opportunity. And so, you know, what has your experience been with people, those who plug in and those who don't? And maybe a story that you've seen where somebody didn't for a long time, and then the shift that happened when they did.
Absolutely. And for both of you, first of all, thanks for inviting me to the call. And Anthony, thanks for the things you said. But I'll kind of answer this two ways. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. So the first thing is plugging in is absolutely so imperative in building this business. You know, Jim Rohn said it the best years ago. He said, it's plugging in to me is kind of like bathing. It just works out better if you do it daily. You know, if you think about it, there's a reason we bathe on a daily basis, and the people around us really appreciate that. Building a business here, you know, if you think about life, if you think about anything that we do, whether it's church, whether it's school, whether it's business like this, you know, plugging in is essential. But it's also, and it's easy to do, like, but there's so much going on in life that it's sometimes easy not to do. You know what I'm saying? Like the easy things to do in life are also easy not to do. So what you'll find in this business, I'll kind of give you a vision long term that I learned is this is no different than church. Think about church. Or let's go back to school. Let's relate it to school. You know, did the people in your 9th grade class, did you drop off some of those people and gain some people in the 10th grade? And then you went from the 10th grade to the 11th grade, and sometimes tragedies happen. Sometimes people move schools, whatnot. You added new people in the 11th grade. You got a different dynamic. You got a different class. And then your senior class, there's always differences. Some tragedies, some people, you know, there's seasons. Some people move schools. By the senior year, you have a different class than you had your freshman year. Does everybody agree with that? Well, this industry is the same way. And one of the things that I realized today, almost a decade in building a business and growing a global company in my organization, is the people that plug in on a consistent basis, Michelle, are just above average. They're above average people. So if you can picture this, we're going to build this massive organization. Let's just all agree that each one of you on the call tonight over the next 2 years is going to build an organization of 10,000 people. I'm a coach. I believe you got a dream. You got to have a vision. You got to believe before it happens, right? So we're going to grow this huge organization of 10,000 people, but out of those 10,000 people, not all of those people are going to be above average. So you're going to have people that come in and they plug in for a moment. You're going to have people that are like you, Michelle, and decide that you're going to plug in, and I see you on Zooms all the time. You're above average, like you're not the exception to the rule. But over time, if we stay the course and we build teams, we're going to acquire more of you, Michelle. There's going to be another person that comes on like Robin that's above average. There's going to be another guy that comes on like Anthony that's above average. So what I can do as a person in the field, as a builder, is I can get the information out to people. I can make sure they know about things. I can set up Facebook groups. I can get out the word. But I got to realize I got to love people where they're at. And there's going to be people at different places in my life, in this journey, in this business. And so when you realize that, you don't get near as frustrated. I have people every day that goes, oh, my people are not doing anything. And I'm going, are you worried about your people or are you worried about your pocketbook? So you got to ask yourself that question. Like, do I need my people to do something so I can get paid more? If I'm honest with myself, it's I. Really, you don't need them to do more. You just need more people so I can get more above average people. Because the cream's going to rise to the top. You just got to bring the people in. Does that make sense, Michelle? That would be the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is the world is lacking love. They're lacking smiles. So if you want to be different, if you want to build an organization over time and you're going to build 10,000 people in your organization over the next, 2 to 3 years, and we're all going to do that, then we got to set ourselves apart in the world and we got to smile more. We got to love more, which means if Anthony falls off the map, I got to understand it's okay, but I got to continue to love Anthony. I got to continue to smile at Anthony, because if I slap him around when he's not producing for me, then it's more about me than it is about him. It's because I want to make more money and I need him to work harder. That's not the way this business works. And so what happens is when you love more and you smile more and you take care of people, when it's their time to jump back in the game, they will be here to jump back into the game. Because if you don't show that love and if you don't show those smiles, they will go find another team that will give them what they want. And what the world wants is people to lead with love first. And I know for some of us guys, it might seem a little like, ooh, I don't know what he's saying, but I promise you this, I won a lot of games as a football coach. And I'm not bragging on myself, but I could have went to the collegiate level. I had offers to go to the collegiate level to coach. But I'll tell you this, the reason we won a lot of games was not because I was the best X and O's. It was not because there was a lot better coaches out there. I led with love. I led with love. I led with a smile. And I think if you went back here and you went, what would you take away if you took all the people that are in my business and you go, tell me a little bit about Brent Palmer. Hopefully what you're going to get out of that is like, this guy really cares. Like, he cares when you're producing and he cares when you're not producing. And if you get that, then what will happen, Michelle, going back to the question you asked, is when a person's hot, they're hot. Man, give them what they need. Like give them everything they need. But when they're not hot, continue to love on them. And they stay with you. And then they re-engage because you continue to feed them, but you continue to add more. Because you don't need them to do more. You just need more above average people. So you got to bring more people to the table. So when Anthony said that I was the number one enroller, I'm not sure of all the numbers. I've enrolled a lot of people in my almost decade in this business, a lot of people. I continue to enroll people every month because I know that the nature of the game is I need to fill that funnel up with people I'm enrolling, and the above average, well, they rise to the top, not because of me, but because of them. So I hope that answers your question.
That does answer my question. And I think that there's probably some people who maybe are thinking to themselves, am I that above average person? And what I think you mean when you say above average is above average drive, above average want to, above average willingness to get in and learn and talk to people and hear the no's and keep going, not necessarily an above average aptitude to do this, right?
Absolutely. I mean, what tells me an above average is at 9:30 almost Central Time, Dominique Carter is on this Zoom. Below average or average don't get on. Average might get on for a little bit, but they don't consistently get on. So what you see over time, Michelle, is the above average, they just find their way into more things. No one made you and Anthony start this call. Above average people start something. I hope that makes sense. So it's not IQ, it's not aptitude, it's not I've got to be an expert. There's something in above average people that step out and they do just a little bit more than the average.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And, you know, those people are going to be the ones who, if they couldn't make this call tonight because they have kiddos that they're trying to help with homework to succeed in school, or they work a night shift and they're on the clock right now, so they can't join us. They're the ones who maybe in the morning on their way to work, they plug in and listen to the recording, right? Those resources are available to us. And just because we, you know, maybe our schedules don't line up doesn't mean you can't succeed. It doesn't mean that, oh, I didn't make that call, so I can't succeed at this business. There's so many ways, right, that we can utilize the resources, that we can tap in. We have the ability to record. We have the ability to, you know, connect with people after the fact, like, hey, you know, I missed that call. I'd love to connect with you on a phone call and fill in the gaps. What did I miss? You know, those are the things that are going to set people apart, right, as they begin to grow and to excel. And you have some, Ned?
Let me jump on and say this too. I was just having this conversation tonight because my son's in college and we were talking. I spent some time with him last night. I went down, stayed with him, or stayed beside him, and we were talking about people that end up creating wealth in life. Like, what do they do? Like, what? And the thing that they do, Michelle, in a nutshell, is they add value before the money comes.
I love that.
So remember that. Let's go back to coaching. If you see a college coach that's making, let's say Nick Saban, $10 million a year. Is he worth $10 million a year? Well, what if he brings in $500 million a year for the university? I would say, yeah. 10 million for 500 million, they would probably think that's a pretty good deal. So he's adding massive value to create massive income. So when I thought about that, when I got into this industry, before I really had a lot of success, before I ever become $1 million earner or six-figure earner, I started adding value. I started creating things. If you followed me over the years, I didn't even have a Facebook account, okay? Until after I left education. And I left education, I was already probably making, I think everybody's in the business, I was making probably $25,000 a month when I left education, still working a full-time job. But I added values in ways everywhere I could. I did my own call every week. Sometimes, I mean, I had to study because I wasn't an expert. I didn't know everything, but I just added value, exactly what y'all are doing tonight. And I looked for areas because I knew this. The person that adds value up front always makes more money in the long run. Because if you think about the world, if you think about people, most people want it the opposite way. Well, I'll go drive 6 hours if I know I'm going to get paid. How about drive 6 hours because you want to add value and do that consistently over time and watch what happens with your pay. It's a completely different mind shift. So in this industry, Michelle, and I'll stop because I could get on a roll with this. In this industry, if you find yourself every week finding ways to add more and more value, then what you're going to do is you're going to look up and you're going to see your income moving in that direction. If you were to ask Anthony Moreland over the last 120 days, has his income increased? Whatever it was, has it went up in ARIIX? I don't even know the answer. I don't even know his paycheck, but I can already tell you the answer is yes. Because what he's done over the last 120 days or more is he was already in the company, already doing good, but he took his value and went here with it. And I would lay $1 million on it to say that his income increased because of the value he added. Think about that. So this weekend I got asked, just on the spur of the moment, would I drive 7 hours to meet a prospect? Very inconvenient. Okay. But what was my answer? Sunday, I will be leaving, driving 6.5, 7 hours to meet a prospect and his wife. And I'm not bragging on myself, but I'm just saying those things consistently done over time, that value will create a massive, massive business.
That's awesome. Make sure I'm not muted. That's so good, Coach. Thank you so much for that. So for those people who come into this and they have that above average they see the vision, but they find themselves perhaps in a position unlike yours where you're very gregarious, you're very engaging with people, and you know a lot of people. But there's those people who come into this and they see the vision and they want to do this, but they're perhaps more on the quiet side, or their job has them isolated. Perhaps maybe they drive for 10 or 12 hours a day by themselves, or they do something where they don't have a large social circle. How do you as a coach and someone who's had success with helping other people to grow within themselves and then their business, how do you encourage people who find themselves in that category or that side of things to begin to add that value for themselves as they expand? Because there's so much personal growth that happens with this. So what are some things that you help, you add value to them as they begin to grow, to get out of that smaller social world, if you will?
Yeah, and I think that's something very important to know here. We're going to bring people into the business, and maybe somebody on this call is one that your social circle is not very big, or maybe you have been a person that don't really like to talk like you. So for those type people, you got to think we're in an industry for a couple of $100, you can actually be involved. That's pretty powerful, to actually be an owner and own your own business for, I would say $500 or less. But if I'm a person, so I'll just say this, if I'm a person that has low circle of influence, right? My circle's small, or I've got things that's holding me up and hindering me. It might take me a little longer to build a business here than a person that's got that big influence, that big presence, because they've already been working on that skill. Odds are, if you went back, they've already overcome some things to be where they're at today. So they kind of got a leg up. That's okay. We're not going to look at their plate while ours gets cold. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I just got to understand as a human that, hey, I've got to improve so that I can go achieve this dream. So if I need more, if I need to create a bigger circle, then I'm going to join, some networking groups. I'm going to go out on social media and join some Facebook groups. I'm going to add value to those groups. This is what people don't want to do. They want to join a group and then go in and go, let me tell you about our slenderize. And then they go, what? I'm sorry, dogs, keep me out of their group. Well, because you went in for the money. You went in for the kill. We got to add value first. And so that would be the first thing. If I'm a person that has a limited core group of people and not a high, if I feel like I'm like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 2, then I just got to realize, okay, there's books out there on how to build a bigger network. There's books out there. So I'm going to self-develop. I'm going to get myself tuned into different things that can make me grow. I'm going to listen to Jim Rohn. I'm going to put all this in my head. But then I'm also going to go out and access things that can allow my network to expand. Michelle, for years, here's a small tip. Everybody eats lunch. Every single person on this Zoom eats lunch. Who with? If it's by yourself, it's a missed opportunity. Because if you eat lunch with someone consistently over time, and you let the weeks turn into months and months turn into years, you watch a network expand into something crazy just because you ate lunch with them. So whether it's a coworker, whether it's your company, whether it's you getting out there and going, hey, let's go grab some lunch. You go, I don't have much money, Brent. Pack a bologna sandwich and eat. Don't let your excuses limit you. Like, don't limit your challenge your limits. But if that could build up your network, then don't eat lunch alone. Sure, it's easier to eat lunch alone. But it's just one of those things that I don't do. I eat lunch near just about every day with someone. And it might just be, I'm trying right now, just a disclaimer, no bread, no, all this stuff that I love to eat, I'm trying not to eat because everybody's on this health kick. And I guess we're in a nutritional company. So anyway, so I go to lunch and I'm like, I feel like a rabbit because all I'm eating right now is like greens. And I don't like that. I'm a buffalo wing French fry guy. But so my lunch is not very exciting, but I still go eat lunch. I have a water. It's like I pay like $3 now for lunch because I can't eat anything. So, it's, but here's the deal. Those relationships are massive over time. So if you ever ask me to be on a call and question me, I go all over the place. So
No, that's good. That's good. And Mike asked in the chat, how do you add value to a group? And I'm going to speak to that for a second. So I was in a very structured professional networking group for about 3.5 years. And when I started, I was scared to death. I like to say I'm a recovering introvert, or I'm a situational extrovert. My tendency is to be more on the introverted side. And when I started with this group, I was the person who would come at the very last minute, and I'd stand on the back wall and watch everything happening, just terrified of the group. And it was one of the very best things that I ever did for myself professionally, because it forced me to come out of my shell. Because if you want to succeed, you have to talk to people. And in doing that, I began to become more comfortable with creating relationships. And we say it's network marketing. I would take that a step further and say truly it's relationship marketing, because when you come at it from the standpoint of building relationships, that networking group, it became about relationships. And if you didn't show up, and I mean physically showing up to the meetings, but also show up in terms of participation and contributing something to the group that was edifying to others, that supported and encouraged others. One way that you can add value to a group is to be a positive individual. You just have a good outlook. You have a great smile. You bring good energy to the room that you're in. And even if you're not the most confident or the most well-spoken person in that room, if you have a good energy and you're present, that's so huge, because visibility plus credibility equals success, right? Is profitability for you there. And so when you are consistent and you show up, people begin to look at you and say, you know what? I don't know this person very well yet, but I notice they're here all the time. They're consistent, they're reliable. I know that they are going to be here. And so what that begins to do is people begin to see you as having credibility, and they know, okay, let's say, you're an electrician. I don't need an electrician right now, but maybe 6 months from now, I know somebody who does. And I know that you've shown up, that you're consistently there, and that means I can depend on you. And so that's one of those things that, maybe we don't think about that as adding value to the group, but it does. And over time, it builds those relationships and those connections. And that's when people begin to trust you. People will do business with people that they trust. They know, like, and trust. And that's such a huge thing, right? And so as we're doing, we're beginning to build our teams and grow this business, for me, I was somebody who was absolutely terrified of a group of people. Now, doesn't faze me in the least. In fact, I love it. I really, really enjoy it. But it was a journey. And so being willing to walk through those challenges, to be able to lead with love and a positive attitude and say, I'm not an expert at this, but I'm willing to learn, and be able to listen and to create connection with other people. And like you say, have that lunch with them, have a cup of coffee with them, take time out of your day for face-to-face connection when you can. And that is going to begin to build relationships where people trust you. And it doesn't have to be about, hey, buy my thing, because people don't like that. They like to create a relationship with you. And then they come to know that, oh yeah, if I need that thing, they have it. And then they'll reach out when they do. And it creates a foundation of trust. And that's where that value gets added to that group, and where I think people can begin to, reach out and expand that sphere of influence when they find themselves in a place initially where it's small. So those were really all the questions I had for you tonight. I just wanted to piggyback on that. I saw the question in the comments in the chat. Do you have anything to add to that before I hand it back to Anthony?
Yeah, my only thing, I guess, that's on I'm thinking about right now, and maybe this will help everybody tonight. I want you to really don't focus on teams or who they are. The biggest challenge in this business is truly one of the biggest challenges, the longer you stay here, is you got to be careful not, and I'm going to say this again, I've already said it once, not to look at someone else's plate while yours gets cold. Because in this business, what's going to happen is 1 week Robin is going to be hot. Like, she's going to be running and like on fire. Great things are happening in the business. And then next week's going to be Michelle. And Michelle's going to be the talk of the business. And then the next week's going to be Anthony. And then the next week's going to be Tammy Motley. I've seen so many people, Michelle, through my time that watches other people's plates, and theirs is just getting dried up and crusty and cold. And it's like, if you can just learn from other people and celebrate their victories, we could leverage each other to do something special. So I say that to say right now, the talk is Erica Vandemar, and Vandermeer, however you pronounce it, Erica Vandermeer. That's how this country boy says it. So, but think about this now. Everybody goes, man, Tammy's lucky, man. She's got her. Well, first of all, Tammy's enrolled a lot of people in her time here. And she's probably put in a lot of people that never did anything. Okay, that's life. That's what happens sometimes. So if you've experienced that in this business, congratulations. Okay, if you've ever put in somebody that didn't do anything, I'm with you. I've got a lot of those. But here's the thing. Over time, you'll get some above average, right? So I want to tell you this story real quick, and this will be the last thing I say. Because right now, Tammy, there's some people, I can promise you, that's going, you know, it's just the way it is. People are jealous people. So they're saying, oh, she's lucky. She's lucky. Well, here's what happened. I already know the story. But see, a lot of times we don't try to learn the story. Erica and her husband run a large church. Okay? They were living in Tammy's basement. Okay? Several years ago, Tammy actually bought them some product to use. Just 1 month, randomly, just like we've all done. I did it with Myra Miles like 100 times. She never did anything. But here's the bottom line is, I just kept feeding, right? So this time that she's living in the basement, Tammy's serving her, really. She buys this product. I'm not telling you to buy product for people, but she does. She buys product and she gives it to them at no cost, and they're using it. And she kept nurturing a relationship. Value first. And then a year goes by, maybe 2, I don't know exactly, 1.5 years, something like that, 2 years. Things changed in Erica's life, her and her husband. You said it a minute ago, Michelle. She knew what Tammy had. And they reunited. And Erica buys a pack and gets started. Did Tammy do anything different? No, she just built a relationship, did what she always does. But Erica was a above average human. And so now today, they launched South Africa. I'll never forget Tammy calling me and going, she wants to launch a new country. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start. And it was like, let's just throw up a rock and roll, And today, they went from there to Australia, to China, to Russia, to all this. And people are going to call them lucky. But at the end of the day, we all have those people. I look across and I go, Melissa Jackson, I can say this because Melissa can take it. She might have had a chance to build a relationship or nurture something or add value today, but chose not to. And that could have been her Erica. And if you have that mindset, I'm kidding, Melissa would always add value, but you get my point. If you have the mindset of this industry is all about connecting the dots with people, and when the time is right, I'm always going to be there. I'm always going to try to get them involved, but they will get involved when the time is right, and the above average will rise to the top. Then you realize what a powerful thing you have in your hands. I hope that makes sense to you, because today they're growing a huge business, but it's because of that took place way before money happened.
Can I add something to that, Brent?
Absolutely.
So I'm very close to the situation with Erica. Erica's a very good friend of mine as well. And I met Erica the day she arrived in the United States. I met her. We were having a luncheon and they came in to move into the basement. Erica moved to the United States with seven chests. Her and her family, 7 chests of belongings from South Africa. They left and sold everything. They came to America, and it was hard. It was hard. It was not easy. 6 months later, her mother died in South Africa. And she couldn't work here in the States because she didn't have a green card. Her husband could work because he came over to work. And so Erica had to wait a certain amount of time before she was able to work legally in the US. She could not jeopardize getting thrown out of the country because of her husband's job, even if she wanted to. And she was around a lot of us that are in ARIIX. She was around positive, motivated people. She saw what the business did for us. But you don't know what people are going through. Tammy says this all the time. When the garage door shuts, you don't know what's happening in their home. And, you know, Tammy has had her own pile of stuff going on in her own family. And we all have that. And so for us to judge someone else and say, oh, she's just lucky. No, Tammy has worked her fanny off. Tammy worked hard. She's worked hard a long time. So is Erica. She's worked hard. She has to be up all hours of the day to be on that South African team. So it's a sacrifice, but it is the building of the relationship that's going to keep those people near so that you can have something to offer them when the time is right. And the time, like, look at Myra Miles. You know, what was it, Brent? 10 years or some crazy amount of time? And look at her now. Like, she wouldn't even look at it back then. And now she's a rock star and she's an incredible leader. But Brent was able to keep in touch with her. And we've all, if you've been in this industry, I know Anthony can say an amen to this. How many people have we enrolled and we think they're going to be the, racehorses, right? And then they're a big fat disappointment. Or they got life go on and they put it over to the side burner. So we just want to encourage you to build those relationships and the value with them. Because when you're going through a hard time, and you will, you're either going into it, in the middle of it, or coming out of it. When you go through a hard time, you want to be able to have stash in the bank. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about people in the bank that you can draw on because you've deposited over the years. You've sown into and sown into and sown into people's lives. And that is what's fulfilling. And you will love, love, love seeing. Can you imagine Tammy's shirt buttons are popping all over the place at Erica because she's known what Erica's been through. So that's all I got to say about that.
And the beauty of this industry is there will be another one. So you leverage Erica's story and there will be another one next week. And so that's the nature of this industry.
All right. Well, it's not more of a question, Coach, but when we was in Arkansas, you brought something back up that I would love for you just to kind of end off with this, and just kind of, and also just events as well. How is events? One of my questions is, how has events helped you out in your time over almost a decade now? Whether they've been a small events or big events, how have they helped you out over this time? But then also, in Arkansas, you said something about the lie, cheat, and steal that I would love for you to share with everybody, because that was something I did. You guys, when I got started, for anybody who don't know my story, 21 years of age, double major, ran track. Time was very little. It was 5 a.m. morning practice. At that time I was a junior, so I had projects, I had class, team projects to do with that. Then I had practice. I had 2 jobs. I was busy. So time was not something I had. But lie, cheating, steal, I believe would definitely Well, it definitely hit home for a lot of people because I learned how to do exactly that with my daily life. And I would love for you to just share that with everybody, Coach.
Absolutely. And I'll say this on events. I've had a lot of obstacles, raised two kids through this building process of being very young, and one just graduated high school, one's going in her freshman year. So I've had a lot of excuses, a lot of reasons. I've never missed an event because I realize that the people at the top, the people that are making the money, the people that are building the biggest business are always there. And I'm just selfish. I'm scared I'm going to miss something. I don't want to be the person that looks up and goes, dang it, I was in it. I was sitting in it, and it absolutely exploded, and I didn't get any of it. Can you imagine that? Like, that's just a terrible feeling. And so that always kept me when I didn't have the money. I didn't have the money to go to the events when I first started. But what I realized was I just don't want to miss it because I'm too selfish that if it does explode, I don't want to miss my shot. And so that's truly what's always kept me going to the events. And then when I could afford it, I paid it forward, helped other people find ways to get there. So I hope you're coming to Dallas because I've been a part of some massive, massive growth over the last decade, created a lot of income for a lot of different people. I've never seen what we're getting ready to go into. Never. I was on the phone with Jeff Yates today for about an hour and a half, Chief Financial Officer of this company. It is truly a once-in-a-lifetime deal here that we got in front of us. And unfortunately, there will be people that miss it because of an excuse that they feel like is worth more of their time. And I hope that's not, anytime I get on a Zoom, I'm like, just don't let the excuse keep you from this opportunity, please. And then Anthony, I'll leave with this. So one of the things that I believe you got to do to have success is I do believe you got to lie, you got to be able to cheat, and you got to be able to steal. And I've said this a lot, lie, cheating, and stealing is going to allow you to be very successful here if you do it. And what I mean by that, Melissa's looking at me like, come on now. Listen, you got to be able to lie in bed at night. Even the men on this call, you got to be able to lie in bed at night. I know some of us are too macho, but you got to be able to dream big dreams. We've had a lot of people in the history of this country. Thank God they were able to dream big dreams. We've had presidents of the United States that were very successful before they were in office, that was able to dream bigger dreams and become the president of the United States. You got to be able to lie in bed at night and dream big dreams. If we ever stop dreaming, we're starting to die. You got to be able to cheat time out of your day. All of our plates are full. Find the parts of your plate that you can throw away and cheat. Cheat just a little bit of time. That's what I did as a coach, principal, athletic director. I cheated the time away from deer hunting and fishing. I love to hunt and fish. I'm a country boy. But I realized that my kids' future and where I wanted to grow something financially was way more important for me than hunting and fishing. And so I cheated those moments. Today, I can go hunt and fish anywhere I want to in the world. But for a period of time, I cheated that out of my life to go achieve something bigger. And then the last thing is you got to be able to steal. You got to be able to steal ideas from people that's been there and done it. So many times we listen to people that have not been there and done it. Find a person in your life, find a person that's done what you're wanting to go do, and get on everything they do and steal. Give them maybe credit one time, then let it be yours. Okay? It's okay. Steal a quote. Give them credit. And then own it. And you might go, well, yeah, I disagree with that, Brent. Well, that's okay. You can disagree with me. But you got to be willing to steal. So many times, Anthony, I see people come into this company and they might be really successful at what they do, but that does not mean they're successful at what we do. They got to be willing to humble themselves and steal ideas from people that's been there and done it. And don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just find that person, steal from that person, and the road will be a lot easier to travel.
Hey, I hope y'all got value from that. Brent, as always, you always bring great value to us. If you, like I said, I've been following Brent now for years. I've always admired him. I always pay attention to him. That's probably why you hear me say a lot of things he says. Most of the time I just borrow from Brent. I'm just telling you. A lot of times I hear from him or Gary Racer. Over the years, I just reused all of their things. My friend Justin Robin says things all the time. And I just borrow other people's stories and what they say, and I just use it all the time. And I just, like I say, lie, cheating, steal, to me, that hit home because it brought me back. It brought me back 9 years because that's what I had to do. And I know a lot of y'all have families, grandkids, kids, jobs, extracurricular activities. You got the kids working. They got sports starting back up for them. Just a lot of different things. Life. And I like to call it life because everybody goes through life. And that was something that hit home for me. And I just really thought I wanted Brent to share it because it hit home for me. And I hope y'all took value from this. We will post the recording. And so you can get it to your friends who maybe had to work the night shift or maybe had to go to bed early or maybe was putting the kids to bed or whatever they were doing. Hey, this is another way for them to, check this out on their way to work. We do these type things to teach you guys and help y'all and things that we've already probably pretty much bumped our head on. Robin's made a lot of mistakes. I've made mistakes. I know Melissa has and Brent has, and we've all made mistakes. But we just learned from them, and we just kept pushing. And I encourage you to keep on pushing. Brent always tells us to have the top 10 list ready. So if Brent was to text everybody on here, do you have your top 10 list ready? If Brent was to text me right now, I would show him a list of probably about 200 people I'm working on. That's just because that's who I am. I'm not saying to have 200 list of 200 people, but where's your at least your top 10? Only way you're going to have people to go to lunch with is you got to have your list ready. Well, okay, these are the people in my area I can go to lunch with. Maybe I should write them down. These are the people in my family that, that are dealing with some health issues. Maybe you want to help them out. Maybe you want to help them get a transformation. Maybe you got some people on your mind that every time I always break my list down and I always break it down, and people that I know that are like go-getters. I like to call them go-getters. They're the people like Brent that'll go to work, be a coach. Most times you see a lot of coaches do this, but after work, they're mowing lawns or they're, doing anything they can to pick up the little extra money. And so that's what I encourage you guys to do. Watch the replay, listen to it, grab some more nuggets and then also apply the nuggets. Brent gave all this knowledge today, but guess what? If you just let it sit there right up here, it doesn't do you any value. Robin gave great points as well. If you don't use it, you guys, it won't matter. I always take this stuff up and I write it down, and then guess what? Tomorrow I'm going to start implementing. If not tonight, because I can't sleep because Brent got me fired up again. But hey, did anybody have anything else they wanted to ask Brent? we always like to open the floor up. What Dominic did ask, the value of, so he was pretty much saying the value of investment is time. Is that what you were trying? Is that pretty much where you was going with that, Britt?
Absolutely. Yeah, I messaged him privately, and
Okay.
that's absolutely right.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, hey, that's it, you guys. You got something else, Michelle? Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we do this call every week to provide value to you guys and anyone else who listens to the call. But I tell you what, this adds value to us as well. I have pages of notes from tonight and all the previous calls. I know Ant does as well. So it's not something that's like, hey, we're doing this call and we have all the info. That's not it at all. We're coming to fill our cup up to learn as well and to grow right along with you guys. And so Brent and Robin, thank you for your contributions tonight. We thank you so much for your time and for just your willingness to pour into others. You could easily have taken your success and go off and enjoy those hunting trips wherever you want to take them, and leave the rest of us to figure it out. But you don't. You lead with a servant leadership, and there's so much value to be learned in that, and we greatly, deeply appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brent. You're
Thank
my
you,
hero.
Michelle, Anthony, and Robin. Thank you. Yeah, grateful for this company, grateful for this team, and you on here. Thank you. Have a great night.
Good job, everybody, for coming in.
Thanks, guys.